In this video, we'll demonstrate the online purchase process using a Stripe account for a digital product. We'll also show how you can integrate that with the Safe Activation service to automatically deliver that serial number for the product to the customer so they can then launch and activate the product to their specific computer. There are 3 websites involved in this process. We have the Stripe account itself that handles the transaction. We have the Safe Activation account that handles the back end of fulfilling the product purchase and delivering out a serial number to the customer, and then later when they use that serial number they can activate the software to their computer. And then your website itself, which has a button that allows the user to make a purchase. If we go to the Safe Activation account and click on the blue question mark, we'll get to the help system. And if we type the word Stripe, we can see help topics related to integrating Stripe with your Safe Activation account. We're going to start by clicking the second topic here, Stripe Setup Product or Subscription. And it discusses various ways of integrating Stripe with your website and with Safe Activation. There are several main ways of doing it. One way is depending upon what hosting environment you're using to actually create your website. There may be an e-commerce solution built into that is already integrated with Stripe, so that would be one approach. Another approach is with your Stripe account itself, you can create client-side snippets of code that you paste on a website. They look like a button and they link the user directly into the Stripe system for checkout. There's also a comprehensive API for Stripe where you can get full access to the Stripe capabilities and integrate that into your website. That gives a lot of options, but it's very involved to learn the Stripe API. For most developers, they'll probably choose this last approach where within your Safe Activation account, you can define product and subscription buttons and then paste a little information into your website, and you're linked into the automated Stripe purchase and delivery process. We're going to start by looking at this approach here, where we're going to create a Stripe payment button directly from the Stripe account and show how using that approach that can also be then linked to Safe Activation to fulfill that order with a webhook. So if we go to our Stripe account, there's 2 modes. There is a live mode, and by hitting that toggle button, there is a test mode. And for the purpose of this demonstration, we'll be using the test mode. When in test mode, if you click on the developer panel and click on API keys, you will see 2 keys associated with your Stripe account. There is a public key, which you can click that and copy it into your clipboard, and there is a private key. And if you click that button, it will reveal the private key, which can also be copied into your clipboard. Those 2 keys are significant for however you decide to set up your integration with Stripe. To create a client-side purchase button in Stripe, you're going to go to the product section, and you can see we've created a couple of buttons here. To create a new button, you would click the Add button, give a name to the button, a description if you want. You can copy in an image, and then down here in the pricing section, you can define the price and indicate whether it's a one-time purchase or reoccurring. And we've done all this for a simple one-time purchase button. And if we just go and click on that named button here, we'll see the details of that. On this screen, we see the name of our product and the price. And in the pricing section, we can click the three dot button over here to the right, and it allows us to choose the command get checkout code snippet, which presents a snippet of HTML code that we can copy and paste into a page on our website to create a functional button. We've already done that, and so we're going to go to that page. We're going to click the button, and that takes us into the Stripe checkout process. We see the name of our product and price. We're going to go ahead and enter the information as a buyer to make a purchase. When we click the pay button, it's actually processing the payment now, and it successfully processed the payment, and then it takes the user to a success landing page where you can provide further instructions to the user, allow them to download your software, or look up the serial number that was assigned to this order based on their email address. That serial number was also delivered to them in an email message. When the purchase occurs, the customer receives an email message containing their order ID and a serial number assigned for the product they just purchased. They can use that serial number to activate your software. This happens by means of a webhook within your Stripe account. Within your Stripe account, if you go to the developer screen and under the section webhooks, you can click the add endpoint and enter the URL of a webhook and what events you want to trigger from. And when that event occurs in your Stripe account, a collection of data will be sent to that URL. We've already done this to connect our Stripe account to our Safe Activation account. Here is that webhook. So this is the actual URL, and you'll get this URL within Safe Activation on a help screen. It'll tell you the exact parameters of that URL. And for this particular scenario, where it's a simple product purchase, the only event we need to trigger is this payment intent succeeded. And as long as the webhook is enabled, then whenever a purchase occurs, it's going to automatically trigger that webhook and send a collection of data to Safe Activation, which will then trigger an automated response from Safe Activation to assign a serial number and send it to the customer. So if we go to our Safe Activation account and under the transaction section, we can see that when that webhook came in, it was processed and created a transaction, and that transaction also shows the order ID and the assigned serial number and the email it was sent to. So to get that automated transaction to occur and be triggered by that webhook, we'll look at a couple of other screens in our Safe Activation account. First, we have a set of serial numbers associated with our product. And if we go to the serial number edit page here, we're looking at a block of serial numbers assigned to this product. And that purchase we just occurred, we just did, it grabbed this first serial number and marked it as used, and that was the serial number that was delivered to the customer. Now, how that happened is configured within an order process. If we go under the section Order Setup and click List, we have different types of order processes for collecting PayPal payments, or in this case, we have one set up for Stripe payments. There are a lot of fields on this screen, and there's detailed step-by-step instructions in a help topic and safe activation to set this up. But the main point for our simple product purchase is that we have set it up by selecting the Stripe radio button so that this order process realizes that it's getting information from a webhook coming in from Stripe, and specifically the item name of the item being ordered appears on the left-hand side of this product equals group section, and whenever it gets an item of type product 1 being ordered, it's going to pull a serial number from this group of serial numbers, which we looked at a moment ago, and deliver it out to the customer and create that transaction, which we looked at. So those are the basic components that are coming together when an order occurs. The webhook in Stripe delivers the information to safe activation that triggers the order process to run, and when it sees this named product, it knows it should go ahead and process that order by creating a transaction and delivering an email to the customer's email address with a serial number from this group of serial numbers. And you can also customize the actual look of that email message that gets delivered to the customer. So there's a section right here where you can customize the actual content of that email message with a template to customize both the subject line and the body of that email message. When a purchase occurs, Stripe records the information on the payment screen, and you'll see the last payment that just came in. If you click on that row, you'll see the details of that payment, including the customer's name, the product they ordered, the price, and such. So let's review the process that we just went through. We started from safe activation, and we used our Stripe account to create a client-side buy button. So from the Stripe account, we set up the product, and then we also set up a webhook that links our Stripe account to our safe activation account. Then on the safe activation side, we set up an order process that is able to collect the information from the webhook, generate a transaction, and email out an assigned serial number to the customer. So to make that purchase work, the user starts on your website, they click the buy button, and they enter their payment information, and that's what triggers the whole process to complete the purchase and send the email to themselves containing the serial number they need for activating that software. We just reviewed the Stripe client-side approach to creating a buy button and adding a snippet of HTML code to your web page to initiate the process, and then complete the process with a webhook where the order data gets sent to safe activation so that an email can be sent to the customer. We're going to do the same thing, but use a different approach. We're going to actually create the product purchase all from within safe activation. And there is a link to a set of step-by-step instructions for setting this up. We'll first do it for a simple product purchase, just like we did before, and then we'll show it for a more complex subscription, either a monthly or an annual type subscription purchase. So if we bring up the Stripe screen, and we've already set up a product and a subscription, and let's just look at the product which kind of mimics what we had done before. If we look at the edit screen, you can see that Safe Activation presents a form and you have to fill in the information. So you want to name this collection of information, and we called it product 1. And you're going to have to put your public key and your private key from your Stripe account. In this case, we're using our test account. You're going to want to put in the name of the button that we're going to present on our web page, the type of license we want to set up, and we have two options, the word product or the word subscription. We want a price, the currency, the type of the method we're going to use for payment. In this case, we just have card for credit card. And we can have a URL to a image, to a success page on our website, and to a cancel page. If the user cancels the purchase process, that tells it what page it's going to go to. So if they successfully complete the purchase, it'll go to this page. If they decide to cancel the purchase, it'll go back to the main website page. And then we have the quantity. That's how many computers the customer is going to be purchasing the license for. If we have it set up here for 1, that means the user is going to receive a serial number that will allow activation of the software on just 1 machine. We could have a number like 2 or 5 or whatever you want here. And then if you want to collect a coupon code within the purchase screen, put the words yes, other words, put the word no. So when we fill in this information and you click the Save button, it will provide a URL to a working button that you can then click that URL and go and test the button. It also provides a little snippet of code that you can place on your web page. It's basically an iframe linked to that URL. And if you put that on your web page, it will just appear like a button that when clicked will complete the purchase process. If we were setting up a subscription button, there would be a little bit more involved, defined by this information here. But for the purpose of this simple product purchase, a one-time purchase, we're just focused on this information here. Now let's take a look at the actual buy button. So if we click this link, here we see the buy button. And when the user clicks that buy button, they're taken into the purchase screen where they see the name of the product and the price. And if they wanted to enter a promotional code, they could click there and enter a promotional code that you've already defined in your Stripe account, which we'll show in a moment. So let's go ahead and do that just to see how that works. So we've entered a code here, and you can see that code knocked 50 cents off the purchase price. So just like before, the user could enter their information, their credit card, and when they click the pay button, it's actually making the purchase, and this is all happening within your Stripe account, and then it's delivering the user to the final landing page with further instructions on how to download your software or how to use the serial number that comes in the email message to activate the application. If they don't want to wait for the email, although it will typically be delivered within seconds, they could just enter their email address right here and click look up, and it'll just display the serial number right on the screen. We're back in our Stripe account, and if we go to the payment page, we can see the new purchase that just occurred. And on that page, we can also see how this coupon was applied, reducing the price by 50 cents. Under the product section of our Stripe account, if you select coupons, you'll find the place where you can create your own coupon codes. You simply click new and enter a name for the coupon and some other information and the type of coupon it is, if it's a percentage discount or a fixed amount discount, and some other characteristics of that coupon. And then the user can use that coupon when they make the purchase, as we demonstrated earlier. Now let's review the setup process and customer experience for a software subscription. Buying a subscription is very similar to purchasing a product. The customer is going to click a button, enter their credit card information, then they'll be taken to a landing page where they can download your software and launch and activate it with a serial number that they receive in an email message. There are a few things different about a subscription, however. Each month thereafter, they'll automatically be charged for that subscription, and later, if they choose, they can cancel the subscription so they'll no longer be charged the monthly amount, and then the software will be disabled at the next subscription period. The customer also needs a way to get into a portal page where they can change their credit card information, because over time the card number may change or a new expiration date or other things may need to be updated to maintain this periodic charge for this subscription license. So first, let's look at the setup process. The setup process is a bit different in that with a simple product purchase, we set up everything in the Safe Activation account to make the purchase. For a subscription, there's two parts to the setup process. First, within the Stripe account, you're going to go to the product section, click Add Product, and you're going to create the subscription item. We've already done that here, so just take a look at what we've set up. We have a name, we've assigned an image, we set up some pricing information, and the important part of this that we're going to be using in a moment from our Safe Activation account when we create the actual button is this price ID right here, which you can click and copy that into your clipboard, and you'll use it in a moment when we're setting up the actual button for that subscription. So if we go to the Safe Activation account, and there's help topics to guide you through the step-by-step process to getting this all set up, but I just want to outline the process here. We have a group of serial numbers assigned to this subscription. So if I look on this screen, you can see there's a batch of serial numbers here assigned to the subscription, and we have preset the subscriber checkbox for all those serial numbers. We also have an order process that we've already set up, and we have defined a specific subscription button. So I'm going to select this subscription button so you can see the details that were set up. If I bring up that screen, it looks very similar to how you would set up a product button. We named it Subscription 1, the same public and private key, the name of the button that appears on your website. In the license type field, we put the word subscription. What is different though, instead of the actual price, we put that price ID from our Stripe account. And that's just something that's done a little differently, because that amount is going to be charged on an ongoing pay basis, once a month or once a year based on the type of subscription you have. And then a lot of this other information is about the same. We can have a quantity 1 or some other quantity assigned it, and that just will determine how many different computers the customer is going to be able to activate with the serial number that they receive for the subscription. And we can decide whether or not we want to allow a coupon code to be entered during the purchase process. So again, when we click the Save button, it takes us to this screen, and there is a link to a working subscription button and a little snippet of code that could be placed on your web page that appears like a functional button to make that subscription purchase. We'll take a look at that in a moment, but some of this other information also is of use for a subscription. That is, there's also a URL for a portal page, and that's a page that the customer can use if they need to later update the information about their credit card or what over time. And it shows an example of how you can include that on your web page as well. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and click the button. You see, or the link there, it takes us to just a simple page just showing that functional button. That's the same button that you would get on your page with that little snippet of code on the previous screen. And so assuming that, imagine now you're sitting on your web page, and as a customer, you click the Subscribe Now button. You'll be taken to the screen where they can enter promotional code if they want to, or if you had that option set to no, there would be no place to enter a promotional code. So let's go ahead and enter the information for our email address, our credit card, and when we click the subscribe button, the order is processed, and once processed, it will be taken to the success page where it gives them further instructions on how to download the application. They'll also be receiving an email with the serial number used for activation. They can also enter their email address if they choose in this field, and it will look up their serial number if they don't want to wait to receive the email. So we'll just enter that same email address that we used when we placed the order. And if you click the lookup button, you'll see the serial number displayed right on the screen. If the customer wants to enter their customer portal, they can enter a customer ID that was sent to them in that same email message, and then they can access the customer portal, which we'll take a look at in a moment. Now that we've made a purchase, let's review a few things in our Stripe account. If we go to the payments page, we'll see information about that latest purchase. If we click it, we'll see the details, including the person that purchased and what they bought and how much and so on. If we select customers and then under subscriptions, we'll see that newly added subscription item. And again, you can click in the details of that. And this just is an active ongoing monthly subscription for this item that was purchased. Now to get this automation to happen in the background, where the customer receives an email with an assigned serial number, we used the same webhook as before. So if we go to developers webhook, we can see that same webhook that we looked at previously. And now for a subscription purchase, these two events, the customer subscription created and deleted, are important because those will determine when this various types of information are sent from the Stripe account to the Safe Activation account. And the details of how that are used are further described in the setup instructions within Safe Activation. There's also an event called payment intent failed, and that is just for the purpose of notifying the vendor if there's some kind of a payment issue with a particular customer uh, at some future date when their periodic subscription comes due. Now, Stripe itself has a screen of information under settings where you can go and you can define how many retries and attempts that Stripe will interact with the customer to kind of clear up a payment issue or like a credit card that has expired or whatever for this ongoing subscription payment. And you can configure exactly how that process works there. But if you also want to be notified by email directly from Safe Activation, if there's some kind of a payment issue with the subscription, just set this event on that same webhook. Okay, so let's go back to our success page at the end of the purchase process. And when the user receives the email with their serial number, which you see here, there's their customer ID and the serial number for the item that they ordered here. That's this subscription here. And they also receive this customer ID. Now, what that is good for is if the user ever wants to get into a little portal to update information about their credit card, they can do it with this field right here that can be placed directly on your website. They just put their customer ID in, click the portal button, and that takes them to a portal for their subscription where they can change their payment information, or if they wanted to, they could click the cancel button. And what that does is that puts a request in for Stripe to automatically cancel the subscription at the end of the subscription period. So it doesn't happen immediately, but at the end of the subscription period, it will be canceled. If we go back to our Safe Activation account, you can see that if we go to here's our batch of serial numbers for this subscription, and you can see that this first one that was sold just now when we made that purchase, it was marked as used, and the subscriber checkbox is still set. And it's going to remain set as long as the user continues to make periodic payments. But if they cancel the subscription at the end of the subscription period, it will get cleared. Or if you as a vendor want to immediately cancel the subscription, you can do that as well. So from your Stripe account, you can go to the customer section and then the subscription section and locate that subscription. If you click these three buttons over to the right, you can immediately cancel that subscription, and that will turn them off immediately. So after doing that, if we go back and look at our Safe Activation account and just refresh that page, so let's refresh the page here, we can see for that serial number that was delivered to the customer, the subscriber checkbox is now cleared, which means at the next subscription period, they're going to be disabled. To summarize, if you're using any of the protection and licensing tools from Excel software, like Quick License, App Protect, Doc Protect, or others, together with a Safe Activation account to automate the serial number activation process, you can now link that to your Stripe account for handling the payments. The best way to get started is to go to the help topics within your Safe Activation account, and there you'll see the front end of the process of making a Stripe purchase can be set up in e-commerce solutions within various web hosting environments, or with a Stripe buy button created in your Stripe account, or with product or subscription buy buttons created directly in your Safe Activation account and then pasted on your page. The back end is handled by webhooks that link your Stripe account to Safe Activation so that when a purchase does occur, Safe Activation can assign a serial number and deliver it to the customer. So again, there's three websites involved: your Stripe account handling the payments, your Safe Activation handling the delivery of an email out to the customer with the assigned serial number, and then later used when they activate your software with that serial number. And then finally, your website itself, which has buy buttons that take the user directly into a Stripe portal page where they can enter their credit card information to make a purchase.